Day 629 of the Orchos Chaim. Today we're doing Arukh Chaim, Siman Shin Samech Vav, Sif Yud Av Yud Zayin. This is actually a replacement shiur because an astute listener noticed that the one which was originally on YouTube was actually mislabeled. There was a shiur on Sefer Orchos Chaim, evidently, which I labeled by mistake as a Arukh HaShulchan shiur. So Hishkoyach from Shmuel Rosen for noticing that and pointing it out. So this today we are doing Eruvin. It's been a while. Actually, I'm recording this. We're about to finish the first cycle of the Arukh HaShulchan, so we're somewhere in the middle of Chesed Mishpat at this point. But Yudav, East the Gemara. It says the Gemara Hachalikus Eruva Eino Eruv. This Gemara on Daf Test in Eruvin. If you divide up your Eruv, it's not about Eruv. But if you filled up the vessel Vayater, and there's room and there's stuff left over which overflows, ain't paid much. Then we're not concerned if it's in two kalim. The inside logic is more this issue seems to be when you leave it deliberately into kalim for some peda, some concern that you have, which would therefore be difficult because the unity of the Erev is being undermined. I'm by inadvertently put into kalim, or that this way they're going to be more properly stored. As anything similar mutter, it's permissible. Mr. Brewer writes that if you put it in a small vessel, and you knew initially that that small vessel would not be able to hold the entirety of the Erev, and you had another vessel which was larger, and hold that it's like dividing the Erev in two, not like the Arukh HaShulchan. And actually, he says here in the Pesach Mishnah, one can deliberate whether this argues the Arukh HaShulchan or not. Be that as it may, continues Arukh HaShulchan. This is that which is, so he said, the Gemara gave a case where you filled up one vessel and you left over. That's generally the way it happens. It could happen. Anytime it was inadvertent, it wouldn't be an issue. This also seems an indication of the Rambam. Cholko is Eruv. You divide the Eruv, it's not about Eruv. The Mashal Cholko b'kavana. If you deliberately divide up, it's a problem. Right? You have to put the entire Eruv into one vessel. You divide up and put in two kelim. Eruv. It's not an Eruv. In case echad, unless you fill up one, vaz mutzar, then it's okay that you put the rest in the second. As long as the kelim on one house. The Masha the Chiyuv, it sounds like it's an obligation to put all the Eruv in one kelim. Kol near the Gam Kavanasim, seems also that their intent is that that the chiyuv is to put it in one vessel below lakpid, and not to be concerned. Not literally put in two kelim. But if you do two kelim inadvertently, shabbatam, that's okay. This seems to be the case. Though the reason is because of being specifically makbid on this. Says somebody who is makbid, he's determined to be specifically this way. It's not about Erev. The Erev Shmo, its name is Erev. But she mixed together and agreeable that way about that. It should be an easygoing and pleasant partnership. So Rashi. Says if you put in two kelim and you are determined specifically to put it that way, any Erev Hamrutzah does not an acceptable Eruv. By Noach, but Amrutza by Noach, not Eruv, which is acceptable and easygoing. I will look at if you're not deliberate determination, what do we care? You base a piece and the night. So according to this, it seems to me, the Shchenim are doing so you have neighbors who live each one in his own room. Or the bayis and each one in his own house. But based on bashlos, but only the kitchen, going kuchnia, hachazukum is in common between them. Since all their Shabbos food is in one room and in one oven, have kulam during boats, as if everybody is living there. The makam pita garden, the place where the bread is always what determines the so it's the makam pita, makam lina, but generally speaking, the understanding is the makam pita garden, the place where the bread is. Even they don't eat there, they could eat there. Actual, true, classic Arab, are they all eating it? It's suitable to eat. Here it's the same thing. Yesh la'arabazeh, but we can complain about this, or be dubious about this. Because it's not one vessel. But basically, we said the dafka chulkas erev b'kpeda, specifically somebody who's determined to divide his erev, and erev is not about erev. Have a shalom b'kpeda, but it's not determined. It's not out of determination. Have erev, it's about erev. But here too, la b'kpedahu. He's not determined that it'd be that way. Hel sh'oisen kedarkan, they just do the normal thing. For the send out damil ma'il is also similar to a case where you filled up one vessel by yater and left over, the mutter mishteken, which mutter to have the rest of the same keli. Von furthermore, there's a rak ba'alma that's talking about the normal eruv. I have a comment here. Shkoli karachalosin shakulam nase b'Shabbos chol rak b'chen. Here where all the eating of everybody is done, both on Shabbos and weekdays, primarily in this room. Answer klal tonight zed the kliyachos. You don't need at all this condition of one vessel. Came as a tira mamish. This is literally, so to speak, dwelling there. Literally, so to speak. Okay, you got the point. In brackets, he says, there is evidence for what we're saying from place to time. Base, the Masamoidim, Shakaso, the right, Shakim, Shkum, Shtamshim, Chulis, since they're all used by Fio, Bisho, baking and cooking. Chashibi, Kilo, Ochim, Mishaim, Makam, it's as if they're all eating and sleeping in the same place. Akam Shana Brisi, I saw Bachai Adam, Kla and Gimel Siv Yuraj Kosa, came the Katate, since there are two aspects of Mishtam base Ba'abais, since they're using the house of Ba'abas, Gam Habayis Rak Mushalahem, and also the house is only designated for them. Akal Shono, loaned out them. So Shnei Tamid, there's two reasons for it. The Shon Shela have a heter in the Atzma. Loaning out is the heter unto itself. Ayin Shom Beduk. Lod Raya Masif Chavdimel Ayin Chavdad Ayin Shom. Okay, be as it may. Yud Gimel. Tzar Shloyach Pikol Echad Mehem. Al Irvo Imechan Chaver. It has to be that each one is not meticulous if his friend eats his portion of Erev. The Makidi be as meticulous. Eino Erev. It's not about Erev. Chayin Tzarech. Lizor. Therefore, you have to be careful. Shlo Larev. Whoever should teach Tzar Shabbos not to make an Erev something which you fix for your specific Shabbos needs. So this is when you're ma'ariv from your stuff for the entire, all the members of the Chatzim, and you still ownership upon them through a third party. Do not make them something significant. Shabbos is made for your Shabbos. Because when the people of the courtyard come to ask you for it, you'll be impeded from giving them, they will cancel the Erev. Should make an Erev on the large breads, which are being used for the Shabbos. That's your specific use for Shabbos. But on smaller loaves, it's not so significant. Of course, they normally use matzah. Bracket says, Din zem bevor b'gmar samaches, Babai Shamar, Yakin Lupito, Chule, Lo Evshali, Litzvah, Nihalai, Babai said, I couldn't give them my bread, so therefore I can't participate in Eruv. Hey, they put this the Torah wrote this about an Eruv where each person gives. It's not so related to that. I'm not sure exactly why. And the Mishnah Berurah explains in the Shulchan Aruch that this is also by an Eruv where somebody is makes one Eruv for everybody. He has to be agreeable that if people from the Chabura of the Eruv come to eat, he should not be meticulous that they should not eat. This has been confirmed in the Arukh HaShulchan. You can only use bread. For a Eruv, even if it's rice bread or lentil bread, not with millet bread. Sheina means pas cloud, millet is not considered to be a true human food. Any bread which is permitted to eat, even though it's also this person makes the Eruv, you use it for Eruv. So you make an Eruv for Yisrael with Truma. You can make a shituf where you don't use bread. Shituf use can use other substances with wine, even for a nazir. So somebody took a vow not to eat from this food, or he took an oath not to eat from it. You use it for Eruv shituf. Even though it's not for him, it's for somebody else. Lo meet chazlei dafka. You don't need something which is specifically suitable for him. Chachamim about this. The Kehem Kapanim Shalahu, since regard final analysis belongs to him. Kigon Shiyosh Sachum Me'avim Milkoin, such as he inherited Truma from his grandfather and his mother's side was going, even though he's not. Shloim going by Truma, he paid the Shloim going by Truma, he paid the coin for the Truma. Shloim Ziko, so Mishloah, the coin bestowed his own Truma upon him, even though he's Yisrael. Having a Kamatana, it is like a gift, the Shalom, that it's like his. The Chacham did not require him to be the one who's able to eat it. Seafood base. Tesvav Abu Dover Asolakov, something which is universally prohibited, called Tevel, such as untithed produce. I feel Tevel Rabbani, it's rabbinic Tevel. Or Meiser Rishon Shloinot Shum Masakog, and or Meiser Rishon which Chumas Meiser has not been properly taken. Or Meiser Shein Vekdish Shloinot Kalacha, Meiser Hekdish should not been properly redeemed. And by Rishtain, we can use them for every Shituf. You can use the mai, the shlani, because it's suitable for poor people. You can give poor people the mai. That's the halacha. But still, not mishamai. Ma'aser rishon not truma. So we have ma'aser rishon which trumas ma'aser taken off. Ma'aser sheish hektish niftu. And ma'aser sheish hektish which have been redeemed. Habishlo neslas chomish, even though you haven't yet given the additional fifth. Shein chomish ma'ake, because the additional fifth is not a impediment. Ushlayim ma'arvim ma'aser sheni. Ushlayim can make an air ma'aser sheni. Habishloni time, no, it's not redeemed. Shloim rosh hamachila, because there you can eat it. Not outside Yerushalayim, Ela came Pedu unless you redeemed it. My association with Mitzrayim, Yotza, my Hashem, Hashem, Yerushalayim, and left. Lomahai Lepidion, you can no longer redeem it. Here's the topic. We can raise the question. Came the Eirik Chazeres Ein Bar Melapas. Since the Eirik Chazeres you can only use bread. I mean, the Davka Pasha Morchel Motzi need silly bread in which you make a motzi. Feel Pasha Morchel Mazonos, even bread in which you make a mazonos. So let's see. B'darchim Moshe B'Shem Rabbeinu Yerucham. I saw that Moshe said there Rabbeinu Yerucham. Finally, feel Lachmanios. You can even use Lachmaniot. Today, Lachmaniot is bread rolls that you make a motzi, but evidently back then it wasn't. Zeo Pasa Bar Bekistin. And it was a Pasa Bar Bekistin. Shem B'Yarchal Bar Mazonos. I guess it was a sweet roll. Everybody gives a bread for the Erev. Lo yitain prusa. You shouldn't give a slice. I feel like even it's very large. And shleima dafka, it has to be whole. I feel like even small. Time shumeba. It's a count of animosity. Shemanino saying shleima. That's one guy would say, I gave a whole loaf. I told Bruce, and you give a slice. Feel kumrot say even they all want to give slices. Also, it's forbidden. Shemi out for the kukula, because maybe it's going to go back to a negative situation. Meaning, the Shabbos Haba, meaning the next Shabbos, it's a Zelite Shem, where those one's going to give a whole bread. So, this one is going to have a sliced bread. Because go to the same set, they'll argue each other. I would take shiur shlemos kulam shavos, but to give a specific shiur that all the shlemos should be of the same size, that's not possible, except by matzah. We're not so concerned with that. I was give whatever is necessary. And it's going to explain how much you need in total. Never more than 18 grogros. However, even though it has to be shalom specifically, if it was holy, you took challah off it, it's not a problem. Such a situation, it's not relevant to talk about animosity. So even if it's missing, the amount of challah which a baker would remove, which is 148, I'm not concerned. So we think, it's missing 148 because you took up challah. And therefore, even if it really wasn't tevel for challah, such as what you needed to begin with, K-N-E-A-D-E-D, less than the shiur challah. The cocoa lace of bottom, that's not a problem. If it was sliced, the chibesh they put a stuck toothpick into two slices to make them whole. She take some of the put the two parts of the toothpick into two halves and you connected them. You made nikoshem prusa, so if you can't tell that they were cut near shlema and it looks like it's whole, mutzar is permissible. The two lo yelo available, there no longer be a concern of animosity. But it could be because it looks whole. Because the two Shulchan calls who zen nice and erev, zen nice and erev. To Shulchan right, this is silly. When this guy goes in erev, the other guy's erev, they participate by giving each one giving a portion. I'm Arab. When you bring Arab from your own by bestowing ownership on everybody else in the yard, you can even use a slice. So let's try Eva here. Eva is not relevant. No animosity relevant. Because nobody else is giving. He's giving for everybody. You try Kosar Bein Ramah B'Sivav. The Ramah writes here, Shepirushu Hod Ein Ma'am Rak B'Asholim. They explain that which she says you don't make an Erev only with a whole bread. Hash Kol Erev Yachli B'Asholim, that all the entire Erev should be one large loaf. That's why people are accustomed to gather from every house a little bit of flour. They make one whole challah. They make an Erev with it. So it's a widespread custom in all these countries. Has to be the proper shiur. That's what we explained. Even there's, you didn't make from all the flour with this challah, but you left some over. It's no worse than when one person bestows ownership on all of them. They initially gave their flour to produce a loaf, even there is leftover. Nowadays, you make a large matzah, okama matzah, some matzah, you come from the flour of the community, or the of an individual. He does it from his own. He bestows ownership on the entire city through a third party. The flour belongs to the individual. The shamash acquires it on behalf of all members of this city. Long Piskei Mishnah Berurah here. The Mishnah brings down that there are those who say that even to do it from the flour of the community, if he was not mizaket to everyone explicitly, that's not erev. It's appropriate to be concerned with that approach. That is the Yesh Mishomer. If you forgot to make the mizaket on Erev Yontif, you should be mizaket on Yontif Rishon al tonight, and say it's chutzos obviously. If there's a weekday, I'm mizaket the entire city today. If it's actually Yontif, what I say is meaningless. And you should say also the next day. And if there are weekdays after Yontif or Shabbos, wait to bestow ownership until after Yontif. If you forgot until Friday night to bestow ownership, you can rely on the poskim law that you're allowed to carry even without being mezakeh, since it was initially gathered on everybody's behalf. The Ram seems from the Ramah. Okay, so the Gemara Arukh HaShulchan goes on. By the time you see matzah, the reason I make a matzah, miskemes habei lasts a long time. The brackets brings down, but Mishnah Berurah just said, "I'm going to have sifkan yigim shetov leaves kos." It's better to be bestow ownership on everybody, even if you collect it. I guess even if you collect it from everybody. Anyway, it's a table katan skuyim cholosh kugis by us in the Vagdik. It stood in a small small closed glass case. It turns out basically you hung it in shul. Shakon and everybody should see it. Yashgichu and pay attention, so that base should not go moldy. Should the maiden should not have ants. That did happen. Over matzah cheres, you make another matzah of shamash mashgiach, and shamash pays attention. Obviously, matzah comes in sealed packages, so it's not so easy to tell that. Okay, that's it for today.